So hi everybody, this is Startup Bright and we're here to talk all things startups related. Our guest today is Fernando, and I met Fernando through Kodo Startups, right?
Exactly.
And Fernando has an exciting startup idea, and he will be here to explain to us his marketing plan, his idea. We'll talk about your team and basically understand more about what you're trying to build. Why don't you start with your official pitch?
Absolutely. So my name is Fernando Parnes. As you said, I am the co-founder and CTO of BestBeing, the one-stop shop for all things well-being. So the well-being market, which is, or the well-being industry, which is the industry that is comprised of any service that can help one better their mental health and wellness, is an industry that is completely fragmented at this moment. So there's a lot of problems on both the provider and on the customer side. On the provider side, there is a lot of providers out there, but a lot of them are limited by location as well as their discipline. And that limitation of in-person therapy can cause them to incur significant overhead costs, such as owning an office, owning a location in which they can offer their services. And they're also limited by location and discipline. And this really limits the breadth of offerings that any geographical region can have, especially because there is no centralized marketplace for well-being that is technology enabled and that is customer friendly. And that being said, the customer faces a tremendous issue in the ordeal of finding a well-being provider that can help them. Most people will either have had the issue of having to find a practitioner for either themselves or a loved one, someone to improve with some aspect of mental health, or even just an aspect of themselves they want to improve, or they'll know someone who has had that pain point. So it's often an extremely time-consuming and difficult ordeal to find someone who is available, and then once you found that person, it can be you run the risk of not having found a good match for your exact goals. So our solution to that is BestBeing. BestBeing is an online marketplace. It's an online platform that matches a customer or a business who is seeking assistance for their employees with providers that can specifically assist them achieve the goals that they would like to achieve. So the way that we do this match is through a custom machine learning backed recommendation engine. It was built in-house by BestBeing. It actually offers a unique approach to recommendations, and our customers can come into the platform, let us know a little bit about themselves, as much as they want to or as little as they want to, and we'll use that information to search our database of providers and create a match for them. So BestBeing we are aware that our customers are coming to us in order to solve a problem. They're coming with a goal in mind, so we don't want to be the ones to stand in their way by making things more expensive. So BestBeing works on a transactional model through the provider side. So the provider comes into BestBeing, and we allow them to set up their well-being business entirely within our platform. We offer them a fully featured virtual office with video conferencing, automatic payment, automatic scheduling, and a host of other organizational tools, as well as our recommendation engine, which serves as a built-in customer acquisition tool for the provider. So because we're offering them this platform to stand their business on, we charge them a small transaction fee between 6 and 9%, depending on how much they charge, with opportunities for discounts on our platform, and the customer doesn't get charged anything beyond what the provider charges. So that translates to lower costs for both providers and customers. We are offering features that providers would usually have to pay for separately, which increases every time they have to create a new account and use a new service, increases the cost for them. And for the customer, we're really taking away that pain point of having to find someone. You can be confident that you are going to be matched with someone based on a deep analysis of who you are and who they are. So
Okay, so let me ask you this. Your core business value is the matching engine that you have developed or you're still developing.
Absolutely, and we do have a fully working prototype for a recommendation engine. So it is developed in house. It is a unique, as I had mentioned, it is a unique recommendation engine, a unique piece of technology that allows for real-time training of our recommendation models, so that we can be always using the latest data we have available on you to make recommendations. And that is indeed our core value offering on the customer side, and on the provider side. That is included in our core value offering of the fully featured virtual office, so the entire office that allows them to set up their business.
How many people are on your team?
So our team is 11 employees at the moment, our team in America, and we're also partnered with a technology company, one of our investors, called KiwiTech, who provides us a team of 5 developers in India, as well as quality assurance testers and system administrators. They will also be doing a full redesign of our platform for our launch in August.
Is that the same KiwiTech that provides kits for kids to assemble science projects, or this is a different company?
No, it's a different company. They're a software development company based both in India and in America, and they start every year with a portfolio of about 24,000 startups that they analyze. They boil that down after a series of interviews and pitches to about 88 startups that they end up investing in, and this year we were one of the startups in their ecosystem. So they offer an investment both through technology services. They give us a full-time working team of developers, graphic designers, etc., as well as a startup ecosystem with demo days and pitch days with investors and things like that.
Well, congratulations first on the fact that you were invested basically.
Thank you.
By that company.
Yes. So to date, we have raised in our pre-seed round, we have raised $400,000, both in cash funding and capital and in technology services. We're opening our seed round next for $800,000.
Okay. Yeah. So what is you said you're looking for money now, and it's a little bit early in our interview process to talk about that, but it came up. So what are you going to be using this money for? Why do you need this money?
Absolutely. So this money will be used for development towards our alpha release. Our beta release is coming out in August 2nd, as a matter of fact. And this money will be used towards growing our development team and growing our partnership with KiwiTech as well. In order to develop for our alpha, it will be used to market heavily towards providers and customers, but especially our initial target niche of providers, which I can touch a little bit on. We are initially, as I mentioned in the beginning, our goal is to democratize the well-being industry and open it for any provider who wishes to join. We do know that we have to start somewhere. You can't become the, Amazon of well-being, as we like to say, overnight. So we are beginning by marketing heavily towards positive psychologists. So positive psychology is an accredited and growing field out of the University of Pennsylvania. There are no online services directly catered to them at this moment, and most providers in this field cater their services towards businesses. So they offer businesses helps with their employee assistance programs, offering them mental health support, productivity support, things like that for their employees. So BestBeing offers them a platform to really be able to expand their reach and offer many more businesses those services. And as far as our initial customers we're targeting, we are targeting, as I said, businesses, small and medium businesses who want to improve their employee assistance programs, who want to be able to offer their employees, better mental health support, more diverse services at a lower cost. So we've found that most businesses, especially small and medium-sized businesses who want to offer mental health support to their customers, run into this issue of having to pick from very few offerings that are very, very expensive. Most of them, if not all of the ones we found, work on monthly subscriptions, which means regardless of how much you're using them, you have to pay a very high cost. So because BestBeing is a transactional model, you only pay for what you use, and we are able to offer each one of your employees an individual service best catered to their well-being. So it's not really that cookie cutter view of one service for all of your employees, which we've seen as a big complaint in the businesses that we have in our network ready for our demo or for our beta release, excuse me.
So this is a two-sided marketplace, right? You have providers and then you have customers, right?
Yes.
I was going to ask you, how do you plan to... two-sided marketplaces are probably the most difficult products and services that you can think of. Especially for a startup, it's a very heavy lift to be able to start a two-sided marketplace. And I was going to ask you about the market plan. How do you see your company to acquire providers and customers, because you are inherently in catch-22 in this situation, right?
Right, triggering that problem.
But you say that you're gonna approach employers to sign up their employees. Is that your first step, or how are you gonna address the situation?
Absolutely. So our first step is to sign up providers for our platform. It's free to sign up, and they don't have to pay for anything on sign up. So our initial strategy is through our current members of our board and through our connections within the employees of our company is to expand and target providers aggressively, especially in that niche that I mentioned initially of positive psychology. So one of our board members is one of the first recipients of the Masters of Applied Positive Psychology from the University of Pennsylvania, and has access to a tremendous network of positive psychology providers, many of which we have already signed up to create accounts on our public beta launch date. So we've to date already held over 50 demos with providers and interested customers, where they held a session on our platform, a private session where we monitored how that session went, got feedback, and optimized our platform thereafter. So we've already started generating a little bit of that buzz within our target niches, and we do plan on very, very aggressive Facebook and LinkedIn marketing towards the providers within our target niche, toward positive psychologists. And our other form of marketing at this moment is through our board member, Elena Wolfson, who is part of the Mayo Clinic. So we are in conversations with her or through her with them about bringing a pilot program to the providers over there. Okay. So we do intend on very aggressively building our provider base, and we do believe that as we build our provider base, we will have organically we'll be bringing in some customers to our platform. Once we've reached a critical mass of providers, we will begin aggressively marketing to our customers.
I expect some of these providers, they will come with their customers as well, right? So
absolutely.
That's also a way to market to clients. So you're starting with providers. How many providers do you have already on your platform?
Yeah, so right now in our network we have around 100 providers. They are diverse providers from yoga instructors all the way positive psychologists, as I mentioned, integrative care specialists, cognitive behavioral therapists. However, our biggest provider pool, I would say, is positive psychologists.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then how do you market to customers? Like, how am I going to learn about your services?
So that's the very specific reason we decided to go with businesses initially, because when marketing to businesses, we really have that avenue of going, through their HR representatives, HR conferences. Again, LinkedIn is obviously an extremely established platform that we've seen to be giving us very good returns in terms of finding interested customers, and our platform offers a very low barrier for sign up. You really only pay what the provider charges you and when the provider charges you. So you only pay after you've had a session. There is no cost to sign up. So our strategy is really reaching out to these HR representatives, small and medium companies, eventually larger companies, and begin bringing our platform to their employees. And once their employees are on our platform, we expect that they would be able to very easily see the value that it brings, and then they can become advocates to their own family members and friends and things like that. One thing obviously to mention is that once we've reached a certain mass of businesses, we will be able to devote more resources towards marketing towards individuals and
So your idea has is like an online marketplace, but it also has like offline aspect of it. For example, I'm looking for, say, a yoga instructor, right? I can look and I can find a provider, but after that I move offline and I can just meet with that instructor. How do you keep me from going directly to the provider and pay the provider without paying through your system, since you're transaction based?
Absolutely. So one of the things that BestBeing has found is that because we offer an extreme simplification of the entire process, especially through automatic payment, automatic scheduling, we are able to offer the customer reminders of their session. If there is any issues in terms of payment, they can request a refund through the platform. So we do offer them a lot of benefits that we found
keep them on
the keep them on the platform, and is a tough sell for someone to try to convince them to get off of the platform and make the process more difficult than it was initially. The other side of it is that we do have an onboarding process that very clearly states our rules with providers. When a provider signs on, they are made aware that when a connection is made through BestBeing, it is expected to be kept on our platform. They acknowledge that to get a little bit more in depth in how the process would look when you sign up. We give you very clear English, no more than 3 sentences, what the terms and conditions are, and then we ask you to answer a brief quiz of what you've just read to make sure that you've understood our terms and conditions. And then we found that makes it very clear for providers that we are offering this full organizational feature, an environment for them to both acquire and make their existing customers' lives easier. And the way it works is through this, is if they keep the customers on the platform.
Yeah. Well, it totally makes sense if it's just meeting providers with customers. Then it would be very easy to get off your platform once you are satisfied with your fine. But if you offer scheduling and payments and some sort of security for both sides, that the payment is okay and the service was provided properly.
Absolutely.
Then it totally makes sense to utilize a platform like that in the future. How did you come up with this idea? Was it something personal that you experienced, or what happened?
That's a great question. So as I mentioned briefly beforehand, one of our initial investors and who became a co-founder of BestBeing, Patricia Andrade, her she approached one of the other co-founder, Kelsey Daly, and I to do some market research for her because she was interested after acquiring her master's in applied positive psychology degree from the University of Pennsylvania. She was very interested in the well-being industry. She saw that there was a very large industry and there was no real centralization of it. It was extremely disparate and disconnected. So she was interested in creating a institute called the Science of Wellbeing Institute at the time as a sort of gathering places for the minds in the field of well-being. And while we were researching the market for this industry, we noticed that this is an industry that brings in, we like to break down the industry into two sides, the conventional well-being industry and the alternative well-being industry. So the conventional well-being industry is the industry that is comprised of mainstream mental health services. You can think psychologists, licensed counselors, psychiatrists, etc. So that industry brought in $16.9 billion into the U.S. in 2017, and the alternative well-being industry, which is comprised of providers such as yoga instructors or life coaches, that industry brought in $17.7 billion to the U.S. in 2017. So huge industries that aren't being directly marketed to. As a matter of fact, this term well-being industry is a term we generally essentially came up with, that we have to usually explain as what that means, because it's not necessarily recognized as a single industry. It's seen as several separate entities, and they really do coalesce into one industry, and that's what we found through our research. So that was the sort of seed that led into the marketplace, the centralized technology-enabled marketplace. And then I'm a computer scientist by trade, so I was looking at this problem from a data perspective, and through countless interviews and a lot of market research, we pinpointed the single biggest issue was the search. So when a person already has a problem, some issue in their life, or they have a goal that they want to solve, they really don't want to spend a lot of time finding someone to help them in the first place. They just want that person to exist. And it turns out that it's extremely frustrating, if you start to even find the words to describe what your goal or problem is in the first place. So when I was looking at that as a computer scientist, it led me to realize that what we need is to come up with a technology that allows for a person to very quickly be able to put it in their own words, what their problem or what their goal is, and not have to worry about Google or anything like that. And we can run an algorithm. We can use some amazing machine learning, amazing technology we have nowadays to come up with a recommendation for them, and really cut out that pain point. And that way we can both simplify the process for them and really make it cheaper for the provider, because we're bringing a customer to them that's informed, they're already interested, and they can have a certain degree of certainty that this will be a good match. There is data behind this match that will make it a good match.
Do you have competitors?
So as I mentioned, we do have a few competitors out there. They are, no one is doing what BestBeing aims to do. So we have services like BetterHelp that offers monthly subscriptions for online therapy services, and they offer they're very limited in the scope of what types of therapies and what types of services they can offer. And the price point is usually an extreme limitation for most customers. There's websites like Talkspace and Numi that have similar offerings, but there is no centralized marketplace that is technology enabled for well-being out there. BestBeing is unique in that sense.
Yeah. My concern would be that Google is coming to address all these dual-sided marketplace searches. Mm-hmm. Recently they introduced the zero-click search results. If you look at the latest Google results, you will see that they pretty much provide you with the answer on the search page, so you don't have to go around and click to find solution, which is a big problem for all marketers and everybody that is using SEO or trying to do any content marketing, but it is coming. And the next step for that would be when you make a search, Google can generate for you a full page with complete information about what you're searching, so you don't have to really click around and find a blog or a website that provides this kind of information. So I guess the Google aims to generate on the fly wiki page, something like Wikipedia. And that is coming. That is not far-fetched based on the technology that we currently have. I'm saying this because I hear a lot of startups doing dual-sided marketplaces, and they're basically matching this group with that group. And all these kind of startups and services will eventually be absorbed by the machine learning and AI that is developed by Google and being developed at the moment. So that was the reason I asked you if you have something else to offer, because I can go offline, or the search can be taken by Google or Amazon, somebody that already has ML, has AI, and that was the underlying question that I had, but you already said that you provide more than just matching service. You provide...
Right, we create the ecosystem for well-being. Our platform is also designed, obviously even from a design perspective, to create a feeling of security and well-being within our customers. One of the big concerns that our platform satisfies for our customers, something you actually touched on briefly, is the security concern and data privacy. When you are doing a Google search, generally you are not under the
binding.
Right, and there isn't perhaps as much of a concern for an extremely personal mental health aspect of your personality, and that's something that BestBeing is extremely aware of, is that the data that we're dealing with is extremely personal data to you. So one thing that BestBeing offers as a part of our recommendation engine is a continuous questionnaire. So our clients, both customers and providers, can come into our platform and let us know about themselves as much or as little as they want to. These are, so far we have about 2,000 questions in our question pool. So someone would really have to try, even at this moment, to answer all of them. And using our customer recommendation engine, we're able to analyze your responses on the fly and really build up a profile about who is it that you are, and what is it that are your goals. How do we best achieve those goals? And we do this. It sounds like a grand piece of technology, and because it really is. We do this using a host of, as a matter of fact, you mentioned, why am I perhaps not fearful that Amazon would come out with a product that takes this search, or Google that comes out, takes this search and basically recreates it. Our technology is entirely built on the Amazon AWS platform. We are our recommendation engine makes use of many of their technological services and brings it forward to a next level, and allows us to do some things that even they cannot yet do. And we are, as a matter of fact, working with Amazon, directly with Amazon, and creating our platform and creating our recommendation engine, because we have this offering. So I absolutely am, we are aware of the advances that Google is making and that Amazon is making, and as a matter of fact, BestBeing, that's extremely exciting. Our idea is to really stand on the shoulder of these giants. I'm a tech junkie, so I think that if or rather when, as you said, Google has the ability to create a wiki page on the fly, we expect that wiki page would include a link to BestBeing for an even further optimization solution for your problems. Because really, what we want to do at BestBeing is allow you to come to our platform where you're not even fully aware of what it is, of what your goal is and what your problem is, and we can be the guides that help you find the answer to that question and connect you with someone immediately that can help you get started on that journey.
Do you also keep track of services that have been provided to customers, or track of your, what kind of work your provider has performed to specific customer or multiple customers? Do you do this kind of stuff?
So as I've been saying, Nick, so BestBeing, just a couple of weeks after our beta launch, we will be releasing our data analytics suite for both businesses on the platform and for providers on the platform. So this data analytics suite allows you to really have very deep insights into from the business side, what kinds of services are best helping your employees, what kind of services your employees are looking for, how much you are spending, how can you cut those costs in some way. And from the provider side, we offer insight into both the services you offer and how you can optimize those services, and into your customers and how you can better your relationship with your customers. That's actually something that I should mention as a big pain point for our providers. We've found that the number one complaint from patients in the Mayo Clinic that they have for their providers is that they have to fill out questionnaire form after form after form, and then their providers seem to ask them often very similar questions.
Same questions, right?
The reason that happens is that because in the majority of these forms you fill out go directly to the hospital or whatever hospital you're in, or the Mayo Clinic's administration. The provider never sees that, and the reason they don't see that is because every provider has their own onboarding process that they create and that is specific to them, and that is as it should be, right? You want your provider to know you the best way possible, so you want them to have their own process, but of course, after you've filled out 1 hour worth of forms, it's kind of annoying to be asked those same questions again. So what we can tell providers very certainly is that we can cut out that initial part. So every form that your customer fills out is being directly used towards the betterment of their well-being, because we can analyze that. We can, use that. We can use natural language processing to create summaries of the responses your customers have made, so you can read those very quickly. We can give you insights into, what those questions mean. And on an administration level, for things like the Mayo Clinic, you can actually finally use all those countless forms you have to make recommendations for your customers. So our recommendation engine is usable from that side as well. As long as you have a data set of customers and a data set of things you want to recommend to those customers, you can use a recommendation engine to make that recommendation. So.
Okay, so yeah, I mean, you obviously you will be working with big data sets, and that's going to feed the ML and AI. Mm-hmm. So for the benefits of investors and other founders that eventually will watch the video, why don't you go ahead and mention what kind of technologies do you use in your solution? Absolutely.
So we are 95% based on Amazon Web Services. I am a big advocate of their platform. The reason we decided to go with their platform is that was an actual complete refactoring we did after our initial round of private demos. Mm-hmm. We found 2 issues. First, so we had initially used Spring Boot, the Java framework, as our main framework. We found an issue with latency. So people, one of the big offerings that we're offering people is convenience, and convenience nowadays also means speed. Yeah. So, AWS through their serverless architecture, their Lambda serverless architecture, allows us to offer our services at a fraction of the speed, that that any other framework would allow us to do. We can do things extremely fast, and after our functions have so-called warmed up even faster. Almost instantaneously, I should mention. Our authentication goes through Amazon as well, Amazon Web Services, AWS Cognito specifically. We're doing so because, as I like to say, that means if we get hacked, 54% of the internet most likely got hacked as well. So, we're not, because we are hosted on Amazon's extremely secure servers, it's not something that we need to be as concerned about. And in terms of our recommendation engine, as I mentioned, that is a unique technology, is custom built and is made of many moving parts. So from the Amazon side, we use AWS Kinesis as a streaming data service. What this allows us to do is we can take our data in real time, retrain our models, and make a recommendation on the fly. So because we have cameras, the best way to do it is a physical demonstration where our recommendation engine essentially can always be moving and discovering new aspects about you and making new recommendations that are best suited to you. So AWS Kinesis is used for the streaming data aspect of it. We use Databricks, which is a service created by the creators of Apache Spark, to run our essentially machine learning algorithms and the actual custom recommendation engine code, which is written using the Apache Spark framework, which is why we host it on Databricks. And then we use Apache Kafka to stream that data back out, and Amazon DynamoDB and things like that as our database. But yeah, so core offering is AWS with we're a multi-platform, so we use Microsoft's Azure for their directory services, and for their Outlook platform of emails and things like that. And finally, we use Twilio for our video conferencing. So they offer us HIPAA compliance video conferencing right in our platform, as well as HIPAA compliant messaging. SendGrid for our email services, and Stripe for our secure payment services.
So you're almost anti-fragile system, from what I hear. You only need to make it to recover itself when it fails and learn from failures.
Absolutely.
Because you're very close.
Yes, we've created our architecture to be extremely scalable and extremely secure and fault resistant. So as you said, in the event of a system failure or something like that, we can. I believe the last information my chief architect gave me, within 15 seconds we can rebuild from a snapshot, we can rebuild our entire architecture within the Amazon web systems. And if one of their data warehouses were to get destroyed, we can move all of our services to another one immediately. They allow us to be extremely scalable and fault tolerant.
Nice. Okay, so at the end of the interviews, I always like to ask founders if you have a funny story that you want to share with us, or embarrassing story, I don't know. Something that happened while you were building your startup and or talking to customers. Do you have anything?
Absolutely, yeah. Well, one funny story actually is we were invited to a pitch event, and we're actually rather a pitch competition, I should say. And we made a little bit of a confusion of the dates, and suffice to say, we thought it was May and it was March, and when we accepted the invitation, the pitch event was like 2 days after we had agreed to do it. So they required a lot of materials. It was a very unique pitch because it was within the style of their competition. So it required us to do a lot of scrambling to sort of get those materials together. And one of those things that we needed to do was get a team photo. And when we had to take that team photo, we managed to get a photographer that could only come at a very, very specific time. And that time, because we were in Rochester, New York at this point, was an extremely cold afternoon. where we all had to rush outside wearing nothing but t-shirts and pretend it was an extremely beautiful day outside. So, you know, if you look at the picture, we're all smiling and it might seem sunny and nice. If you look closely, all of our teeth are extremely clenched and probably we have very white knuckles because it was, I believe it was 21 degrees Fahrenheit. So very, very cold, and we're all in short sleeves. But we did win the competition, so
cool.
That was a good resolution. The team photo hopefully came in handy towards, you know, when they saw all of our smiling faces and they knew that we were out there in the cold.
Yeah, you were doing something good.
They felt that we were committed. I'm sure.
Yeah, I'm sure of that. Well, thank you very much for being on Startup Right, and I would like to talk to you in 3 months or I don't know, sometime in the future, just to see how you have progressed.
Thank you very much for having us at Startup Right. You know, this is an opportunity that we truly appreciate. Any founder, I'm sure, truly appreciates to be able to get their idea, you know, out there. And I would very, very much so be interested in speaking to you again in 3 months or whenever your schedule allows to. You know, let you know how things are going. Again, August 2nd is our beta release, so, you know, we'll have a lot to talk about then.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Nick.